The story begins in a prison cell stained by the horrors that have occurred there. A blonde-haired girl, with a disdain in her eyes, questions where something is. However, the person she's interrogating merely coughs. She points her sword, attempting to intimidate him into answering, but despite his broken state and bruised body, he remains silent. Who would have known that this woman, a direct bloodline disciple, was the Sword Supreme? For someone so powerful, she was able to slay hundreds of demonic humans with only one attack. Divine Blade, Sela, the one who slayed countless warriors on the battlefield. She was so great that she even pierced the heart of the Demon King, or should I say the heavenly demon who had caused the great Orthodox demon war. She grips him by his shirt. She knows he is aware of the remaining demonic humans and where they have gone. She comments that if he feels any inkling of guilt, he should reveal all he knows. Unknown to her, he does know their whereabouts, but he cannot speak, as his vocal cords have been destroyed. All he can do is look down at her with broken eyes, and most importantly, a bind was placed on his heart preventing him from revealing anything. Suddenly, all the pain she has been holding in releases, and she cries. This is his last chance. Everyone wants him dead, but if he helps, she will do everything she can to save him. While sniffling, she begs him, crying profusely and lowering her head, pleading with him to reveal what he knows. She doesn't want to hurt him any further. He wonders if it's because of the hatred she has for the demonic humans she couldn't capture, or is it because of Metroid Blade Jen San, her fiancé who was kidnapped by the demonic humans? He smiles, thinking it's ridiculous that this woman, stronger than anyone in the world, is anxious because of one man. Seeing his face, her face turns red with rage, and she throws him aside like a rag doll. She declares that if she had known he was this way, she would have killed him when she first met him. Not having done that, she regrets it. He ponders if she remembers the first time they met. It's probably different from what he remembers. Where did things go wrong? Was it the time he insulted her because she tried to give him potatoes? Or was it the time he became a traitor and stabbed countless people in the back by siding with the demonic humans? This is just karma catching up with him. However, he still tries to find his redemption. He breathes heavily as she questions what he is doing. Suddenly, his heart begins to ache, and he coughs blood, leaving a huge mark on the ground. He knows that if he breaks the condition placed on him, his heart will explode, taking his life. That's what he is doing right now, breaking these conditions. Before his heart explodes, he will undergo severe pain. This is the heavenly demon's demonic art. Those who betray the demon will die. She tries to help him, but unfortunately, he can't hear what she's saying properly anymore. The truth is, this man was framed. This was not of his own volition. But if he told her this, would she believe him? Suddenly, she turns around and sees that he has written something with his blood. She looks at it, surprised. He could have given a bunch of excuses, but it's too late now. There's no point anymore. At least he told her what he wanted to. Suddenly, his heart begins to explode, and he feels it throughout his body. He falls to the ground, his chest ruptured from the explosion of his heart, and his eyes lose their light. Why did he live this kind of life? So many people he loved and cared for died because of his decisions. They saw him as their brother and smiled at him happily, wishing for his happiness. All the regrets, small and big, build up to make his life. He remembers a young girl who was injured yet remained calm. When he stood before her, she smiled and questioned if it was him. Her eyes were gone, and she could no longer see, for which she apologized. However, he was cold and stared down at her with no sympathy or empathy. In this life he's lost many. He remembered when the rain fell. It almost seemed as if he was crying. However, he wasn't crying, he just looked that way because of the rain. He held his friend in his arms as she took her last breath and died. This young man, Gu Yongchun of the Shangshi Gu clan, was born into a renowned clan of the Orthodox faction and lived as an Orthodox martial artist before betraying them and turning to the demonic side. The demonic cult lost the Great Orthodox Demon War, and Gu Yongchun was tortured as a prisoner of war before he died. Suddenly, a girl, smiling brightly, asks if he wants a potato. He is surprised and questions, "What? He inspects his body, wondering what's happening. He had violated the heavenly demon's prohibition. As a result, his heart had exploded, and he died. In the arms of Sela, his heart should not be beating, yet it is, as if nothing happened. Judging from the small and clean hands, this must be his younger self. He ponders if maybe he's dreaming. However, he realizes that this is the first time he met her. In his former life, he had knocked the potato out of her hand. Upon seeing the potato fall to the ground, she was startled. He immediately stomped on the potato, surprising everyone, including her. He declared back then, "How dare someone like you show up here? Don't you know your place?" He smacks his head, realizing that was what he said. But since this is a dream, he might as well fix some regrets. He holds on to the potato, and she looks away, questioning if he doesn't like potatoes. He takes it and smiles, exclaiming thanks, and that he will enjoy it. He bites into the potato, but it is too hot. It surprises him, as he thought this was just a dream. However, she laughs, commenting that his face has turned red. Suddenly, a guard rushes to his side. This man's name is Muyan. He was worried about him, thinking something had happened. Upon seeing his burnt tongue and the potato in his hands, he attempts to draw his sword, questioning how dare she do that to his young master. However, he tells him it's fine. He orders him to give him the honey cookie. He hands it to the young master, announcing that it's the last one. To the bodyguard's shock, he's actually giving it to someone else. The girl is really happy to receive such a gift. He declares that he received a delicious potato, yet this is the only thing he can give her. Her mouth begins to drool, her eyes glittering. It's her first time getting something so shiny and sweet-smelling. Suddenly, someone calls for her, catching their attention. An old man enters, fear evident on his face. She hugs him as he asks if she is safe. He had told her not to let go of his hand, but she did anyway. However, she tells him it's fine since she got the potatoes. Her grandpa questions if she is hurt anywhere and hopes that she didn't cause any accidents. She assures him she's fine. Suddenly, she points at our protagonist and declares that she gave him a potato. Upon seeing him, her grandpa drags her away, and she questions why he's doing that. Her grandpa bows his head, though not quite 90 degrees, and explains that his granddaughter doesn't know the ways of the world and has committed a serious offense against the young master of a prestigious family. He deeply apologizes if she offended him in any way. The young master replies that it's fine, and if anything, he's the one expressing his thanks. He shows reverence to the old man, explaining that he just happened to get hungry, and thankfully she gave him a potato which he enjoyed. Unfortunately, the only thing he can repay her with is a honey cookie, so he asks if it's okay if they accept it. The old man glances at it for a few moments, seemingly confused. He starts to ask something, but before he can finish, his granddaughter interrupts, declaring that it's so sweet and shiny. She tries to take it, but her grandfather tells her absolutely not and drags her away, saying they cannot accept something so precious and will not trouble him any longer. However, the young master calls after the grandfather, thinking he may be in trouble. He declares that if he is still angry, he will take the blame. However, Yang Chun easily catches up to them and gives the girl the cookie, telling her to see him later. She tells him she'll give him more potatoes, but he's had enough of potatoes. The grandfather smiles, thinking that she has taken a liking to him. The young master waves to the grandfather as they leave, but he feels a headache coming on. His guard, concerned, asks if he's feeling uncomfortable. However, the source of his headache is the old man. This is the man who held the position of Murim Alliance leader until just a short while ago and was one of the three supremes. He was revered as one of the strongest in Murim, spreading fear and terror among the unorthodox members. The Sword Supreme, Wai Hyagun. But the question remains, what is someone of his caliber doing in a place like this? Even if this is a dream, he almost lost his life. Fortunately, this is a very pleasant dream. The guard tells him they need to go back now. The young master declares that yes, they should go back. He no longer has any regrets, so it's time to wake up now. He still hasn't realized that this isn't a dream. However, he is stunned when they arrive at home. He ponders why the dream hasn't ended. If it's a dream, Shouldn't he have already woken up? If it's not a dream, could it be related to the heavenly demon's curse? Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted by someone familiar to the young master. She comments that she thought he would have run away from a place the clan head is coming to. She is the flame sword, Guyancio, his second oldest sister, and the person who despises him more than anyone. The reason everyone has gathered here is because the clan head is arriving. She smirks and touches him on the shoulder, questioning what he's up to this time. If he's here and planning something nonsensical, don't bother and leave, she warns. But the young man declares that he's only there because he needs to be. She comments that he must be joking, as he's been known for so long yet has never shown his face until now. Surprisingly, the young master admits to his faults. He plans to apologize to the clan head later. His bodyguard is surprised that he would apologize, and his sister is a bit angry. She shouts his name with great fury. Suddenly, she activates her aura, leaving a huge crater in her wake. The servants lower their heads, fearful, but she declares that she doesn't know what trick he's planning this time, but it would be good to stop now. She is truly furious, but it seems she hasn't reached her full extent of wrath yet. She tells him if he keeps acting like this, however, he interrupts her, declaring that their father, the clan head, is coming. Suddenly, a man dressed in red clothing appears, riding a red horse. He looks down on them and questions what all the commotion is about. They all lower their heads to greet the clan head. He stares at his son with unreadable eyes. He then calls for the minister, but he questions if the minister has a third unit preparing right now. The minister informs him that the first squad has been resting after returning, and the fourth side unit is currently waiting. The clan head walks away with his ministers and servants, informing them that the fourth and third units will help finish the preparations and confine him. Meanwhile, the young master still doesn't know if this is a dream or reality. But that gaze is as bad as ever. Suddenly, the clan head turns his head and informs his third child that once he finishes his meal, he must come to the patriarch's room by himself. The young master is stunned, and his sister is enraged. He questions his guard if he has any digestive pills. Later that night, as they are having their meal, the atmosphere is as uncomfortable as always. It's unsettling enough that the clan head called him separately, so the young master wonders if someone could do something about the meal. At that moment, the clan head calls for his second child, mentioning that he heard she had achieved something in martial arts. She smiles and blushes slightly, declaring that she had a small enlightenment and became a 3-star a few days ago. He praises her, declaring that she is advanced for her age. He says it's good and wishes to see her continue to devote herself. It's quite impressive that she is already a 3-star at her age, but that's expected since a person gifted with talent like her is also working hard. It's surprising to the young master that even she knows how to smile. She looks much better when she smiles. However, when she sees the protagonist looking at her, she makes a face as if she's looking at an insect. Suddenly, the clan head calls out to his third child, commenting that he heard he went out on the streets. The young master replies yes, explaining that he had something to do, so he briefly went out. The clan head gets up and tells them to finish their meal as he will leave first. Suddenly, a maid informs the young master that the clan head wants him to rest well today and to come to the clan head's room tomorrow. This is a major change from what he remembered in his past life. Seeing that he still hasn't woken up, he finally accepts that this isn't a dream. It is regression. He clenches his fist, realizing that this is a chance to get rid of the heavenly demon first. However, this is an absurd statement that could be dismissed in an instant. How could he kill the heavenly demon when that demon killed all 3 supremes, who were said to be above the heavens in his past life? When he lived as a demonic human, underneath the heavenly demon, it was just to survive. He realized that he had so many regrets. His past life, filled with regrets, made him realize many things. If he has truly been reborn, he wants to choose a different life. The heavenly demon will be killed by Seol Ah, and the demonic cult will disappear as well. Until everything is resolved, he'll just live a quiet life, doing what he can. He can't miss this opportunity and won't repeat the regrets of his past life. First, he searches his entire body to assess the amount of internal energy he has. When he finishes, he realizes his internal energy is quite low. His internal energy is pathetic compared to that of his sister, which makes him realize how incredible she is. Just 1 year older than him but already a 3-star. Still, there's nothing he can do about it. After all, he has years of experience under his belt. He can train with the cultivation technique passed down only to the blood relatives of the Gu clan. The Gu flame will art. By cultivating slowly, as if blooming a flower, he'll eventually be able to emit flaming eternal energy, just like his sister and his father, the clan leader. When he becomes a 7-star, he'll be able to wrap it around his body. But right now, he's just a mere 1-star. He needs to build his internal energy as quickly as possible and polish it until he becomes a 2-star. In order to lead a smooth life unlike his past one, he won't borrow the power of demonic humans but will instead increase his own strength. However, there is a major problem. If he attempts this too quickly, he might die. With his current abilities, using eternal energy isn't easy. If he pushes himself too far, he might suffer from energy deviation. However, he grins as he has already made some progress. It's an early stage, but he has become a 2-star. He'll continue step by step at a pace that isn't slow, for a different life from his previous one. He won't do anything foolish that might have a negative influence on his future. The next day, he wakes up and his whole body is aching. It's all caused by the training he did the previous night. Unfortunately, it's his fault for not training until now, and he has a long path ahead of him. He plans to visit the clan head's room in the afternoon, so until then, he will train. However, to his surprise, a beautiful girl is waiting outside his door. He wishes he was him right now. It should have been him, not the young master. She greets him. In the next scene, in the sky, something is tearing. The people wonder if it was there before. However, an eye suddenly appears, looking through the tear. This hole is a gateway for monsters from the empty space, also known as the gates of the demon realm. Each sect raises groups to fight against these monsters, known as sword units. Each sect is required to have one. The Gu clan has 5 sword units. The eldest sister, Gu YBL, is the unit commander of the 5th sword unit, and he, a troublemaker, spent half of his life under her harsh command. That was where he formerly met Seola. Meeting her after the potato incident should have taken place half a year later, but they meet again now. However, this man is a Sigma, so he turns around, realizing he should sleep in. But she grabs him, telling him to wait. She blushes, declaring that it's nice to meet him from today onwards. Suddenly, her words are interrupted by a slap on her hand. Her grandfather had told her that she couldn't treat the young master like that. The young master wonders what the old man is talking about. However, the old man orders her to apologize to him now, and she does. But the young master doesn't understand what's going on. The old man introduces himself as Wai Mun. He will be serving the young master from now on, in gratitude to the clan head. He admits the young master may not be satisfied with the servitude of an old man like him, but he will give it his all. The young master is more surprised by the difference in his name, while Seol-ah reveals that she will be assisting her grandfather from now on. She tells him it's nice to meet him again, but he's confused. Who will serve whom, and how did this happen? But if it's an order from the clan head, his father must have given the command himself. Unfortunately, he feels like he's already messing up this new life. However, he requests that they refer to him as Yangchun instead of his usual title. The old man agrees, which surprises the young master a bit. Sometime later, he watches the old man sweeping, commenting that it's a real broom. The old man turns around and smiles, which makes him question if this is really right. More importantly, Seol-ah, the handmaid, is coming. They tell her it's dangerous to carry too many things by herself, but she insists that she can do it. They try to help her, but she stubbornly refuses, saying she can handle it alone. Suddenly, she trips on a rock, causing the clothes to scatter, and the basket somehow falls directly on her head. She begins to cry, as the impact was too much for her. He wonders how she can be so bad at chores. She should possess martial arts within her, so how is she so clumsy? Suddenly, his head begins to hurt, so he decides to leave. At that moment, Seol-ah follows behind him. A maid questions where she is going, and she holds the clothes in her hands with teary eyes and looks at him. He tells her to finish whatever she is working on, but she replies that she was told to follow him wherever he goes. He questions who told her that, and she informs him that it was her grandpa. He comes to the conclusion that she will be his direct servant. The maids cheer her on, believing she is the only one who can handle him, but Yang Chun thinks that the role was dumped on her because no one else wanted to deal with him. He sighs, wondering if it's okay for his personal servant to be chosen so haphazardly. She fixes his clothes with a smile on her face, almost as if they are husband and wife. She declares that she's done, but the job is horribly executed. He wonders if his father knows about her identity, and if so, why does he not care? Maybe it's because too many servants have quit. His father had told him to come to his room today, so he'll find out more when he gets there. The biggest question is, what is happening right now? Seola attempts to follow behind him, but he tells her to stay and get the hang of things first. She lowers her head, tears forming in her eyes, and in a soft voice exclaims, "Okay." This catches the attention of her grandfather, who stares at them. He opens the gate and tells her to finish training in how to do her job. He then promises to bring her a treat if she tries her best. Somehow, this cheers her up, as she believes she will get something to eat. However, this change in his father's behavior scares him, as they were never this close in his previous life. He doesn't even believe they personally talked like this. He doesn't know what to say, but his father has something to tell him since he called him first. After he hears what his father has to say, he'll just ask him why Seola and why Hyagun are in his quarters. Suddenly, his father appears behind him, questioning what he is waiting for, startling him. Inside, his father asks if he saw the new servants. The young master smiles and exclaims that he greeted them that morning. His father asks what he thinks of them. The young master declares that he is grateful his father appointed him a servant for his convenience, but he is just wondering. His father interrupts, saying he shouldn't worry about such minor issues. He will explain everything in due time. The young master quickly realizes that his father sent him a servant despite knowing everything. Maybe his father made an agreement with the girl's grandfather. However, his father tells him not to worry about minor problems and that he should prepare to head to the Unified Dragon Assembly tomorrow. The young master wonders what that is again, but then his eyes open wide when he finally remembers. Later, he orders his bodyguard to end his life. The guard questions if he hates going to the Unified Dragon Assembly that badly. In his past life, it was an important event where new members of the sword units were chosen. It is held biannually for the sake of the third unit who work in the battlefield and the sex, risking their lives for the sake of the clan and the residents of Shangxi. It was a given that those of the Gu clan's direct bloodline would be required to attend such an event. He orders his guard to kill him, believing death is the only way out of it. However, the guard is sure that the clan head would end his life himself. He exclaims that even the elder Li will be there, and one had said he would give him a beating if they crossed paths again. Among the elders, there was one who was particularly terrible. He always believed that as the only son in the family, the young master had to act with decorum, which in turn made him responsible for the clan's honor and prestige. He should be grateful to Elder Li, but the elder was a busy man. Despite that, the elder would seek him out to teach him whenever he had time. All of the schooling and punishments made him want to avoid the elder as much as possible. Even his father was never that attentive to him. It's amazing how he managed to turn out to be such a loser despite all the lessons. Finally, the young master agrees to leave. Suddenly, a maid comments on Seol-a's beauty. The young master asks if Hong-Hua is ready yet. The maid apologizes, informing him that she was busy taking care of Seol-a. The young master gives an annoyed look and questions if Seol-a caused trouble again. She reveals herself to him, looking beautiful. He is shocked and immediately begins blushing, and she knows he likes what he sees. She approaches him, commenting that everyone says she's pretty. She asks if he thinks she's pretty too. His face turns as red as a tomato, and he quickly explains they need to go. However, she keeps asking if she's pretty, but he ignores her. Later, she is in a carriage, enjoying herself. It seems it's her first time in one, as she always thought horses were just for eating. But to think they can run this fast is surprising to her. The Unified Dragon Assembly will be held at the Heavenly Exchange, the most famous shopping district in Shaanxi. It seems the elders put a lot of effort into this one. The trip will take 4 hours, so his bodyguard comments that he should take a nap. The young master agrees because he couldn't sleep properly due to training last night, but his words are interrupted by Seol Ah, who comments that horse meat smells a bit funky but still tastes good. He puts a honey cookie in her mouth and tells her to shut up and eat it. She sucks on it quietly, and the young master dozes off to sleep. A while after, Seela calls him, attempting to wake him up, but he mumbles something about cookies. She seems disappointed. Someone asks if she told him they have arrived. Hearing this, he finally gets up. Before him is a beautiful area bustling with people and lights. This is due to the big festival, but there are a lot of people. Suddenly, someone comments that he must be tired from the long journey. The man introduces himself as Chun Ishil, the vice merchant head of the Heavenly Exchange. He says it's an honor to meet the rising star of the Gu clan. Chun declares that the first day went smoothly, thanks to the elders and Miss Gu's efforts. The young master hopes he doesn't run into his sister, but his worst fear becomes reality quickly. He greets her, and she tells him to get out of her sight. She comments that she doesn't think he will cause trouble at the Unified Dragon Assembly, but he should get rid of any funny ideas. There's nothing more hideous than shaming the family name. He declares he will be as quiet as a mouse, so she doesn't need to worry about him. She angrily announces that she wasn't worried about him. Suddenly, she notices the new servant. Upon realizing this, she quickly stands behind the young master. She glares at them and comments that old habits never die, asking if he is going to act like he usually does. He inquires what she's talking about. She declares that she thought he had changed, but she guesses people don't change. She then slams the door and leaves, as he wonders what's wrong with her. Later, they arrive at the conference and are amazed by its beauty and size. He had always heard that merchants evaluate each other's financial power by how much money they pour into hosting festivals. Today, they are celebrating the sword units and their incredible efforts. Tomorrow, new sword unit members will be chosen. It's good that members of the bloodline don't participate. The only thing he needs to do is watch. At that moment, a muscular man appears behind him. But he believes nothing should happen since this is all that's going on. Suddenly, someone comments that he didn't run this time. Gu Yongchun turns around, his face play, as Elder Li Hand approaches him with great force. He attempts to block, but it seems to be too late. However, the Elder Li merely rubs his head and inquires about what the matter is, mentioning that he always used to run away when he saw him. Elder Li comments that someone said they would fold him in half if he didn't show up. Elder Li, seemingly surprised, questions who would say such a cruel thing. Gu Yongchun replies the second elder. He then runs his head again, commenting that he's even talking back. The second elder has always had a strange fixation on him. It's probably due to the fact that he is the only son of the clan head. However, Seela interrupts, explaining that bears are delicious and so are horses. He stares at her with a deadly look, and she quickly notices and becomes pale as she continues saying that there are attendees. However, he becomes more menacing as he stares at her with his dark red eyes that remind her of blood. She begins to cry, her face becoming even paler, and she even begins stuttering. She hides behind Gu Yongchun and declares that she won't eat bears anymore. He comments that he is going to scare others if he keeps looking at them that way. He points at the girl and questions if that is his concubine. He, puzzled, wonders what he is talking about, and looking at her clothes, she is obviously just a servant. Elder Li thinks this is boring, but if that's what he says, he will accept it. Tomorrow is the Unified Dragon Assembly, although he has only expected her. He should go to bed now because he still needs to take part. Seela, already far away, tells him to come quickly before he eats them. But before he goes, Elder Li reminds him that if he runs, he's going to die. Seela questions if a bear grandpa is going to eat them. Gu Yongchun tells her that he's going to eat her first, causing her to scream. However, Elder Li has noticed that Gu Yongchun has changed. The day of the Unified Dragon Assembly arrives. He thought it would start early in the morning, but looking at the line, it will begin at lunchtime. People from numerous Shangxi clans or anyone who can prove their identity are allowed to participate. However, he never expected there to be this many people. Becoming a member of the unification unit means a lot. However, Sela grabs onto him, trembling, asking if he will come to eat her. She questions if they can just tell him to hibernate. He tells her that it's spring. If she's so scared, she should have stayed in the quarters. She responds that her grandpa told her to stick by his side. Unfortunately, he can't tell her to disobey the Sword Supreme. He tells her Muyin can defeat the bear grandpa for them. She is surprised. Muyin inquires what he means by bear grandpa. Gu Yongchun informs him that he's talking about the second elder. However, Muyin cannot lay a finger on the second elder, also Gu Yongchun. Most refer to him in a more respectful manner. He comments that if this is the case, then they just have to give her head to the bear. But she explains that she is not okay with that. Today is the day Sela dies. He laughs, telling her it's fine. It's just a joke. However, she notices a dumpling cart and declares that her grandpa said that those who die with full stomachs look prettier in particular. Ghosts who die after eating dumplings. They look even better. Muyin comments that he treats this servant well, and Yongchun questions if he didn't see a servant begging him for a dumpling. Actually, this is partially because he doesn't know how to treat her. He kept running into her in his previous life. Unfortunately, she doesn't seem to quite understand what a servant is yet. He buys her dumplings, and when he tries to retaliate, he cannot. Muyin remarks that he really is different from what the rumors say. It's true that one should never trust rumors too much. This guard has many lessons to learn. Suddenly, Gu Yongchun questions what he means by rumors. He inquires how long Muyin has been with him. Muyin informs him that it has been about 2 weeks. He must have been assigned just before he regressed. Hence, he can say that. He's not sure who is the lucky one, him or Muyin. Suddenly, someone exclaims, "Miss!" which startles him. The servant tells her mistress not to wander around in such danger. However, the mistress declares that she's worrying excessively. The Unified Dragon Assembly is being held. So what could even happen with so many members of the Hu clan present? This voice sounds familiar, but it can't be. Can it? The servant declares that's what she's worried about. What if he were to be here by chance? What if she runs into the Gu air? She inquires if she really thinks that would happen. There are so many people here. Gu Yongchun is getting a bit worrisome as she sounds rather ominous. Suddenly, the young lady spots him, and a cold sweat runs down her face. They stare at each other, looking awkwardly at the situation for a few moments. Muyin whispers in his ear, commenting on the expression on that lady's face and her guard. It looks as if they've just seen something horrendous. He inquires if, by chance, he knows who they might be. But there is no way he would forget the hair that falls to her shoulders and her black, beady eyes. The ring on her hand contains a symbol that appears when examined up close. For him, who already knows the significance of that ring, it is not foreign to him, the Hebei Peng clan, a fierce clan that produces warriors, especially with a sword. On a fateful day, the young lady of the Peng clan was just about to impress him. Her hair was done, and her makeup was beautiful. She sat on the opposite side of Gu Yongchun, who was arrogantly looking at her. She was his former fiancée. There is a simple reason a marriage was arranged between their families. The Hebei Peng clan is one of the 4 largest clans. The Gu clan is just as prestigious as the 4 clans, and they have a child of a similar age. He was born to be the heir, and if nothing had happened within the Peng clan, they probably thought an arranged marriage with the Gu clan would also be fine. The issue lies in the trouble he caused. All the bad rumors about him, who didn't train properly, caused more trouble than they sounded favorable today for the Peng clan. What really shattered their relationship were the things he said to that girl. She questions why he is here, and he interrupts, commenting that it is his line. Why is she here? She tells him that she happened to have some business here, asserting that they do not own the entirety of Shangxi, so does she need to report her every step? He exclaims if she says so. She questions why he is talking to her so rudely, as he forgotten that she is still older than him. He nonchalantly apologizes, telling her that he forgot. He then orders Sela to come back if she's finished buying the dumplings. She smiles happily and does as he commands. He tells the girl that whatever she is here for, he hopes she has a good stay, but they are busy, so they are leaving now. She feels a bit uneasy about their meeting, as this awkward situation had to happen right when she's busy enough dealing with her brother. However, she's never met that girl beside him. Maybe she is a servant. With such a cute servant around him, could he have changed? In the past, he questioned who the hell she is. She's just the daughter of a concubine. She grabs onto his clothes and looks into his eyes innocently as she grits her teeth, her dark purple aura emanating from her. She inquires what he said, and he becomes pale, looking up at her, questioning if he is wrong. Suddenly, she punches him in the face, almost knocking him out. The servant looks at her, frightened. She was prepared to endure it all, even if it was an arranged marriage, even with all the terrible rumors about him for the sake of her clan. The servant urges her to calm down, but she simply picks up a chair and shoves the servant out of her way, which almost causes her to lose her balance. She stomps her foot, nearly landing a kick on his head. She's not dealing with any nonsense today. She doesn't care about marriage anymore and is determined to beat him senseless. However, she believes that nothing has changed since then, but strangely he seems different. He's helping this young girl and appears calmer than before. Something really feels a little different about him, but she assures herself that there's no way he's changed. He's probably just in a good mood today. Suddenly, someone questions what a person means. This catches the attention of Gu Yongchun and his guard, Muyin. Muyin questions whether the young master is okay, but Sila is more concerned about the dumpling's safety. A member of the Gu clan declares that this problem won't be resolved by shouting. However, the person slams his hand on the table, causing it to vibrate, showing that he doesn't have any time. Is this man going to be responsible if he gets caught? Suddenly, the Gu clan member looks at him and questions what he means by caught. This causes him to be silent for a bit, and everyone begins staring at them. He exclaims that he never said that. They begin shouting at each other, and Muyin questions if they should intervene. But he tells them that anyone can participate in the Unified Dragon Assembly, but obviously that's only if they can prove their identity. Muyin explains that he meant if they should allow him to continue causing a scene. He comments that squabbling over his Unified Dragon Assembly entry is not a rare sight. The martial artists of the Gu clan on standby will take care of it. One of them places a hand on the man's shoulder and tells him to stop, but he grabs the man's hand and slams him on the ground with full force. The Gu clan member questions what he thinks he's doing. With a sinister look in his eyes, he comments that he thinks he's proven his skill, so can he participate now? The man exclaims that no, after such a thing, of course not. Muyin questions if they should help now, but Gu Yongchun begins walking off and orders them to let it go. He doesn't want to get caught up in whatever they have. Suddenly, the clan member declares that he can't just have things the way he wants. He cites their rules and regulations. He cannot enter if he can't be identified properly. But the main question is if his skills isn't enough evidence. Suddenly, he shouts if he is disrespecting the young clan head of the Peng clan. This catches Gu Yongchun's attention and that of the young lady of the Peng clan. Sometime back in a snowy area, the young head of the Peng clan tells his sister good morning. He's been warming himself by the fire because of the cold and is also roasting a sweet potato. She decides not to ask why he's doing this in front of her room but questions what he's planning to do with that plaque in his hand. He explains that the sweet potato was taking too long to cook, so he thought he'd use it to get the fire going. Suddenly, she hits him in the face, leaving a bump on his head. She's really hitting her own brother. She declares that he deserved it. Does he even know what he's holding in his hand? He declares it's firewood. She explains that it's a plaque from the clan head himself. It was a reward for graduating at the top of the class from the Divine Dragon Academy, the youngest successor in history. Does he even know what he can do with that plaque? He comments that he can use it to make the fire stronger. She takes the stick with the meat from it and appears to beat him with it, but she stops and comments that he needs to act more like a successor. Suddenly, a bit of sadness appears in his eyes as he tells her she's right. She comments that she can't tell what he's thinking sometimes, but he has all the skills and talent despite being so young. He's even suited to be a successor, yet he looks so dissatisfied. He exclaims that she's not even close. It's just that he wants to leave this place. She questions if that's the case, why doesn't he leave and come back? It's a great idea and he loves it, so he leaves a letter telling them that he's going to go out for a bit. Upon reading the letter, she crushes it. She comments that it seems her brother thinks of it as a 4-month trip. Luckily, her servant informed her that the beggar sect has news for her. She questions where is he. The servant whispers that he is located at Shangxi. Currently, he is screaming that he has showed them all that he can, so he doesn't want to be late for the Unified Dragon Assembly. The members are backing down, telling him to calm down, as they are not in a position to do that. But he declares that he has no time. Does he have to show them the Dark Knight plate for them to believe? The Dark Knight is the exclusive technique of the direct bloodline of the Peng clan. So maybe he really is who he says he is. Either way, it's better to get out of there before he gets involved in some crazy business. Suddenly, an elder grabs his face, commenting that since he brought up the Dark Knight plate, it seems he's not a fraud. He brings Gu Yongchun in front of them and tells them that he seems skilled enough, so they should just let him participate. He immediately comes down and introduces himself as a successor of the Peng clan. It's an honor for him to meet the Grandmaster Pure Flame, the renowned Gu clan member. The elder laughs, as he hadn't heard that title in a long time. The young man can participate and he shouldn't worry. The member tells him no, they can't confirm whether he's really who he says he is, but Elder Li tells him that he is sure he is who he says he is. He looks exactly like his father and has the physique of his clan. Also, the black ring on his finger is enough to confirm his identity. That's the same ring Peng Awai has, which means that this person really is the successor. The elder questions why the successor of the Peng clan wants to participate in this competition, when its purpose is to choose new members for the Gu clan sword unit. Suddenly, he declares that it's no fun in his Peng clan. Elder Li laughs, saying it's not a bad reason. But the young master wonders if he's out of his mind. Elder Li questions if he got permission from his family, but the next head comments that he didn't think they would allow it, so he just ran away from home. This makes Elder Li laugh harder and Yongchun wonder if he is stupid. He seems very well trained. The question is his age. He is 23 years old. Since he's so young, that means his clan has been raising a monster. Elder Li wishes their idiot would learn from him. His guard tells him that he's sure Elder Li isn't talking about him. However, Sela lets him know that Grams called him a little idiot. She questions why he said that. He tells them to shut up. They're hurting him more than he did. He doesn't even care what he says about him anymore. If he really is Peng Wujin, then he's truly a monster. Not far from now, he will earn the title of the Blade Emperor. Suddenly, his sister appears and calls him. He smiles happily, commenting that his sister is here. Suddenly, she kicks him in the face, causing his face to bleed. He flies like a rocket. Blue aura emits from her as she breathes like a titan. She declares that he dare to claim the title of successor and run away from home with just a note left behind. Her brother screams for her to please listen to him. She questions what he has to say. He thinks for a moment, then begs to be spared but is interrupted by another kick to the face. She begins beating him thoroughly and declares that he ran away from home to try to get into another clan's sword unit. Has he lost his mind? He begs for mercy as he's beaten. The young master thinks that the Grandmaster should stop it or he may die. Elder Li tells him that the Peng clan men are real sturdy. He won't die even if he's beaten with a metal rod. Suddenly, he begins begging the Grandmaster to help him. The Grandmaster decides it's going too far and tells her that she's going to kill him if she continues. She questions whether he will intervene, but seeing that it is the Grandmaster who looks at her calmly, she immediately calms down and apologizes for the late introduction. She also apologizes that he had to see them fight over trivial familial matters. He tells her that it's okay and that he enjoyed meeting someone as funny as her. She will not forget this incident and will be sure to compensate him for it. They will be leaving now, but her brother tells her that he will not be leaving. She questions if he wants to be beaten again. However, he looks at her with a deadly glare, commenting that does she think he's joking? She inquires why. He explains that the Peng clan is no fun.